What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. It's that time of the week again. It's time for Snap Count Monday, everybody's favorite. The stuff that you guys need to understand what's going on with who is playing and how much they're playing on these Seahawks. So, let's just go ahead and jump right in. You guys know how it works by now. We are on game number 6. And we ran a decent number of plays on offense. When you turn the ball over 3 times, it is going to be a little limited. So 60, you're definitely trying to do better than that, but it's not terrible either. It's just a situation where you need to hold on to the ball. And we had 2 drives basically get killed before they started by turnovers, the 2 fumbles. So 60 snaps is okay, I guess. It's workable. Ken Walker for the running backs obviously was the guy who took the biggest load by far. He got 48 snaps, so he's out there for all but 12 of the snaps at running back, which makes sense, right? Charbonnet's out. You don't really have somebody else on the roster you feel amazing about, so Walker is going to have to take as much of the responsibilities of being the running back as possible. And obviously, we don't want him on the field this much from week to week. Like, 56 snaps last week and 48 this week is a problem, but at the same time, sometimes you have to do that because a player's hurt. And hopefully next week Charbonnet's back and we're able to take it a little easy with Walker. It's okay to give a guy a big workload here and there as long as you don't do it every single game. So the rest of the snaps went to DJ Dallas with 14. Sir Roderick Thompson had 2 snaps. And I didn't include him here, but I think Nick Bellore got on the field twice. He's a fullback, not a running back, but that's kind of how we bridged the gap between Charbonnet versus not having Charbonnet. So it's pretty imbalanced still, but I'm not against it. Walker is one of our best players, and he's our best running back by far. He should be on the field more than these other players, bottom line. So not really against it. Okay. Next up, we have wide receivers, and this is very interesting what we did with no DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett got 42 snaps, so decent amount, but he's off the field for a significant number of plays. JSN gets 38 snaps, so he's playing quite a bit, about almost 2/3. And Jake Bobo leads the team in receiver snaps with 45. And the reasons why this is the case should be pretty obvious. There's more to Bobo's game than there is with these other players. Not to say that he's better than somebody like Lockett, but there are more facets to his game, right? He's an excellent blocker, and he's proven now that he's also somebody who can be a reliable receiver for you. I mean, that catch he makes in the end zone is off the charts insane. It is one of the craziest catches that I've seen in the last few years. So he's providing that. He's somebody who can get open for short catches. He's somebody who can make plays down the field. Like, Bobo is kind of bringing a little bit of everything, so you can have him on the field more. Whereas Lockett's not really a blocker. He never really was a blocker, but especially now, you don't want him blocking down the field a lot on running plays. And JSN is not really a blocker either, so you put it together, it kind of makes sense. And Bobo is kind of able to, he can't do the stuff that Metcalf does, but clearly he's somebody who can play on the outside when you need him to because he has that size, even though I still think he's better overall as a slot receiver. And with Metcalf out, it just makes sense that Bobo would take a bigger role. Cody Thompson got 3 snaps. Aesop Winston got 2. Welcome to the NFL, Aesop Winston, for the 2023 season. And that's... excuse me. Whew. And that's really about it. That's all there is to report on the wide receivers. So that is, I would say, looking pretty good, pretty reasonable. We probably use receivers less than most other teams in this league, but all 3 guys were useful in this game. All 3 guys contributed. So, good news. Tight ends, mixed it up a little bit, but the same basic idea. All 3 guys were on the field for more than half the snaps, which is interesting, right? This time, Fant led the team. Disley was right behind him, and Parkinson was right behind Disley. So it just seems kind of random from week to week who's going to lead the team in snaps at tight end. And honestly, it doesn't really matter that much because they're always right in the same ballpark. Fant 36, Disley 34, Parkinson 32. They're all same area. We saw a decent amount of two tight end and three tight end sets in this game, and you can see that represented in the total snap counts. Brady Russell, by the way, did actually get two snaps, so he's playing just a little bit, not a lot, but with the offensive line being in the state that it's in, it kind of makes sense that you would want to get tight ends on the field as much as humanly possible. All right, so offensive line, last thing we're going to look at for the offense here, very simple and straightforward. All players who started the game finished the game. Cross and Forsyth, 60 snaps each at tackle. Lewis, Bradford, 60 snaps each at guard. And Oluwatimi, 60 snaps at center. So that's basically two games in a row where the players who started the game finished the game on the offensive line. It's not the same guys, but it's the guys who you expect to have going into the game, which is obviously a step in the right direction. So now we've got the defense. Let's go on over here. 66 snaps on this defense, which is, I mean, again, it's close to parity, right? 60 to 66, very close. The game really came down to those two fumbles, DJ Dallas's fumble and the Geno Smith Oluwatimi fumble, where you lose plays and you give plays to your defense. If those two plays did not happen, we're probably sitting here at 70 offensive plays to 60 defensive plays, something close to that, you know. So that's what those turnovers cost you, but still pretty close, still pretty good. Defense obviously played a great game. Draymond Jones leads the way on the defensive line with 51 snaps, so he got a significant workload this week, and he can take it. And look, he's a guy who's making a lot of money. He should be able to play that much if we need him to, but obviously you wish you had a little more of a rotation here. You have Jones playing 51 snaps and Reed playing 47 snaps. That's not. I mean, both those guys are playing good, especially Reed. Reed is playing phenomenal football, but is this really what you want to have on your defensive line when you know that this is a 17-game season? Mario Edwards, obviously, he's been throttled back a little bit. He only had 21 snaps in this game. So the last 2 weeks, he's played kind of sparingly, which, I mean, you're saving him for the end of the season, but at the same time, you seem to be acknowledging that Mario Edwards is not an excellent player that you want out there constantly, but you're not doing anything to bring in somebody else. So I'm a little worried about where this can go with somebody like Jaron Reed, who is an older player. Cam Young got a decent number of snaps as well, 14, and it seemed like he actually played quite well. Still doing his job, still grinding. Miles Adams gets 4 snaps. I'd like to see a little bit more. When he played against the Giants, he seemed to play really well. So I obviously this is partially a product of us only having 66 snaps on defense, but we could definitely up the usage on Miles Adams if we need to, and I don't think we lose that much. All right, so linebacker, this is going to be super straightforward, like it's probably going to be for most of the season. Bobby Wagner played 66 snaps, which is every snap we had, and Jordan Brooks played 46. So he actually came off the field a lot. And that has to do with this team going defensive back heavy. It has nothing to do with Brooks's play. Like I said earlier today, Brooks is actually playing some great football right now, but we're not having him on the field for every snap because we like to put our defensive backs on the field because we like our defensive backs so much. So I don't think that's any kind of an indictment on him. That's just the defense we're playing. When you go 3-3-5 or whatever it is you want to call it, this is the stuff you're going to be looking at, or 2-3-6 or what, however. Edge rusher, edge rusher, edge rusher. This is a little bit of trouble because Carroll has already kind of indicated that he's not sure if Nwosu's going to be able to play this week against the Browns, which means he probably won't. So he left in the middle of that game after 23 snaps and did not come back. I mean, it's a good way for him to get a little bit of rest, I guess, but we need him. He's a really good player. He's a really powerful part of this defense. So 23 snaps, not good. Boye Mafe, 52 snaps. He has to take on the big load because Nwosu's out, and he did great. Mafe did some awesome stuff out there against a top 10 pick in the most recent draft, and he did work. So great stuff there. Daryl Taylor had more of a mixed day. There was some good stuff. There was some bad stuff. He had to play more because of the Nwosu injury, 39 snaps, which is not really what you want to do with Daryl Taylor. You don't want him playing this much, but sometimes it has to happen. And then Derek Hall played 18 snaps. And he may need to up his playing time a little bit this week because of the Nwosu injury. So we might get a really good long look at what Derek Hall brings to the table this week. Maybe as big of a look as we got earlier this year against the Panthers. So potentially exciting stuff there. I'm pretty happy with what Derek Hall's brought to the table so far personally. So I'm not against that. All right, defensive backs, cornerbacks, pretty straightforward. Like it's probably going to be the rest of the year. We're starting to really figure things out here, but kind of interesting the way in which this was split out. Woolen and Witherspoon played every snap. Mike Jackson played 1 snap. Trey Brown played 20. So, not a lot of the third cornerback. You had less than a third of snaps have a third cornerback on the field. Now, you had a guy maybe lining up as the third cornerback, but you didn't actually have a third cornerback out there in terms of where they line up initially on a depth chart. So, not a lot of Trey Brown this week. I thought he played fine when he was in there. He got whistled on, I think, a very weak call, which was declined anyway. Like, that to me was, I don't know where that flag came from, so I'm not docking him for that personally. And he didn't allow a heck of a lot otherwise, but not a lot of Trey Brown this week. And when we get down to safety, you'll kind of see why. But Woolen and Witherspoon play every snap. This is kind of what I was hoping for in the offseason. Woolen and Witherspoon play every snap. Trey Brown goes out there when we need him because of a 3 cornerback set. When we need a slot corner, Witherspoon slides inside. Trey Brown plays on the outside. Okay, so go down to safety here. And yeah, this is why Trey Brown didn't play a lot. All 3 safeties played every single snap. Now, obviously, Julian loves moving around, right? Sometimes he plays safety. Sometimes he plays cornerback. Sometimes he might even creep up into the box. I'm not saying he did that in this game, but Julian loves kind of lining up everywhere. Julian loves doing all kinds of crazy stuff with where he's aligning. And it seems like it's working. I mean, Julian Love, he gave up that 1 third down conversion where he was playing like 15 yards off on 3rd and 8, which I don't even know if that's his fault. It's probably doing what he's told. But you can kind of see why Trey Brown doesn't get a ton of usage here because Julian Love's out there for every snap. And you can't have that many defensive backs on the field that often. So it looks like we found something that we like here against this particular team. I don't know if we're going to do this in other games. Like you can see, last week against the Bengals, Trey Brown played a lot. Julian Love didn't play as much. It flipped this week. It's probably a matchup thing. So, hey, that's pretty cool. It seems like this team is trying to cultivate their game plan and their schemes and their playing time around who their opponent is. You got to like that, right? No other safeties played, and that's it for Snap Count Monday. So let me know what you guys think. I mostly like what I see. It's all fairly reasonable. I do think the defensive line could stand to get a little bit more balanced. I'm worried about Nwosu, but that's not this team's fault. He just got hurt. It happens. So, yeah, that's all I got. See you guys later. Another video coming later today. Maybe a couple more. Going to be live on Twitch later tonight. Go Hawks. And, yeah, still Victory Monday. Enjoy it.